Hi, I'm Ryan, and you're watching my YouTube series on functional programming. In this episode, we're going to talk about curried functions. In the previous episode, we talked about partially applied functions. These two are related, but significantly different concepts. So let's see what a curried function is. We have this function in front of us, sum, which has an arity of 4, which means it is expecting 4 arguments, and it simply returns the sum at the end. We are actually going to refactor this function into a function which is curried, and what that means is a curried function will have an arity of 1. So where sum is equal to w x y z w plus x plus y plus z. So this new definition of sum is actually a combination of 4 functions, and it only eventually returns the value. So let's see how we can invoke this. So let's say we have where sum of 5 is equal to sum of 5. So this is very similar to what we did for a partially applied function. But the difference comes in when you're actually invoking it with the remainder of the values. So console.log sum 5, and I'm going to pass it the remaining 3 arguments, which is 4, 3, and 2. And notice what I've done here. I'm actually using parentheses, and that's because each value over here that is returned is a function. So I return a function here, and then that returns another function, which returns another function, until I have all the arguments and I can actually do the operation I want to do. So a curried function is one where the entire chain of functions actually has an arity of 1. And this is the big difference between a partially applied and a curried function, because a partially applied function can have an arity of anything, from 0 to n, where n is the number of arguments that are pending. And you might think, like, how is this even useful? Like, why would I create a curried function and call it in this unnatural way with all these parentheses, right? So in regular programming, you probably won't. But when you're creating, when you're actually using functional programming, you tend to create functions where the output of one function is the input of another. So in that case, it is very useful where you create curried functions and you chain them together such that each function is now depending only on the value of the previous function, and all the other arguments are already filled. And that's pretty much it. That's why you create curried functions. And you might think that, hey, I don't want to go and refactor all my functions to be curried like this, because this is going to be a pain, right? Well, you don't have to do that, because there are utility functions like curry from different libraries which take a regular function like sum and return you another function like this sum, where it is waiting for all the other arguments. It returns a curried function. So you can still keep your original function, but in terms of using it in the context of a functional programming paradigm, you will use a curry function to create a new function which is curried. Well, that's it for this video, and I hope you find this useful. And stay tuned for some more interesting stuff. Thank you.